You're listening to the Uptown Girls podcast. I'm your host, Martina Barley. Let's talk. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Uptown Girls podcast. I'm Martina Barley, and I'm here with a very important first guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am Martina's older and wiser sister, Carla Brignoni. I'm so excited to be here with everyone today.
So let us tell you a little bit about this podcast. Everybody has a podcast now. This is actually my second podcast, but this is my first podcast where I just get to show up and talk. And look at this lovely studio that we're in.
It's literally adorable.
We got in here and within, I would say 10 seconds, Carla started like pacing around and asking like where the thermostat was and could we go in a different room because she was too cold. Then she started like messing with the fan. So we're off to a shaky start in our studio, but I really like it.
I get cold. What can I say?
So welcome to our podcast. We're both really excited to be here. We are doing a podcast to talk marketing, small business, sales, office culture, all the fun things about working in what I think is a very fun industry and what I think is one of the most important pieces of any business is your marketing and your sales efforts. So I'm the owner of Uptown Marketing, and Carla is our VP of Business Development. She was an obvious choice for our first guest, and she's also my older sister, so I probably would have been in trouble if she wasn't. So yeah, we're just really excited to get our clients, our network, our friends, our family, anybody that will find any benefit in hearing from our different clients that we're going to have on, our industry partners we're going to have on, our friends that are small business owners. We have a lot of friends that own their own businesses or they're high up in their businesses. And I just think it's really good to get different perspectives. We serve the insurance industry, so we will have a lot of insurance agents, insurance vendors, all that good stuff on here. But we're also going to have like some other business types because there's a lot to learn from every industry and every business owner has different perspectives on things. So just today, to get us started, we're going to take a little journey through digital marketing because we've been in this space. I've personally been in this space since 2010. That's when I started doing marketing for an insurance agent. And think about in the past, what was that, 13 years ago, how much the internet has changed.
So much. It's
alarming. It's terrifying. Even since COVID changed digital marketing, digital shopping, all of that. They fast forwarded 5 years into the future. So because of COVID, we now have the digital habits that we weren't supposed to have until 2025, which is scary because it's going fast enough, let alone hitting fast forward. But you know, when we think back on marketing and our experience in marketing, specifically in the digital space, it's been an absolute roller coaster in the 13 years alone. So I wanted to just bring it back and kind of go through the past 15 years really in digital marketing, because what's interesting about us and our generation is that we are the last kids before the internet. We are the last kids that grew up like calling on a house phone, having to run down the street to talk to your friend in person and knock on her door. And having gone from that life when we were younger to we were the first generation of kids that got computers wheeled into their classrooms. Do you remember that?
absolutely. I mean, we were the first ones that had to learn this stuff from the ground up and figure it out. So it's like we've been conditioned our entire lives to constantly be adapting to these different changes because it's second nature to us. We started it off.
Right. Like some of the girls that work with us are like 22, 23. They've grown up having the internet pretty much their whole lives. But you're right. We've gotten used to adapting because we've been adapting since we were 10. So that's going to bring me to my little history lesson we're going to walk through here. So do you remember what advertising was like before computers and before digital advertising?
The phone book.
Remember the phone book used to come? Yeah. We used to get a big, fat phone book. 2 of them.
2, the white pages and the yellow pages.
If you're listening to this and you're under like 29, I'd say, you used to literally get a huge book to your house that would have everybody's name, address, and phone. First of all, that's sick. That would never happen now. It would have everybody's name and phone number and address. And then you'd also get the yellow pages, which was a big business directory. And this was our introduction into online marketing, was an online yellow page directory, but we'll get there. The yellow pages, you'd open it up and look for a plumber in Rochester or a barber in Fairport. You had your towns and you had your what do they call them? Headers?
Headings. Business headings, yeah.
Your business headings. And then companies eventually started to advertise in there. So you'd have a full page ad in the phone book. Plumber would take up the whole big ad. And then you'd also have just general newspaper. I mean, do they even have paper newspapers delivered anymore? I actually don't know.
I have no idea. I don't think they're like actively delivered. I think you can get them at a newsstand.
Remember the classified ads though?
Yeah. Where you could sell things.
Yeah, you could sell your stuff. I mean, think about Facebook Marketplace, but on a paper newspaper that would come to people's houses. And you'd look every Sunday morning and see there's pets for sale, there's furniture for sale. So then, of course, because it's a place that people were looking in every week, there would be advertisements. So that was kind of like the way we grew up with advertising. Obviously, TV commercials. We would play the commercial game. You remember that?
No. The commercial.
Maybe your memory's fading you.
I'm getting old. Where we would guess what the business was at the start of the commercial.
Yeah, so a commercial comes on. Because when you're before streaming and stuff, you had 3-minute commercial breaks on every show, 10 minutes?
That's right. The game.
The commercial game. So a commercial would come on and whoever could guess what product or brand it was for before it was shown was the winner.
We'd be like, Tide!
Yeah. And there was, of course, billboards. There's still billboards, but I think they're fading fast. Same thing with direct mail. You get stuff in your mailbox. I think that's circling back a little bit more, but door-to-door stuff, you'd have somebody knock on your door and try to sell you something. Mm-hmm. It's still few and far between, but it's a lot less common than it used to be. Magazines, business directories, and then there were companies just sponsoring events, which again, still around, but those were where businesses had to rely. They had no internet. There was nothing in somebody's hand where I could say, show me an insurance agent near me and press one button and be calling them. Completely different way to run a business. So we're kids, computers come out, we get a computer in our house, we have dial-up internet. And again, Sierra, Fatima, our young girls that are listening to this, you could either choose between somebody being able to talk on the phone in your house or going online. So if we wanted to go online and go on the internet, our parents couldn't use the house phone. They don't even know what a house phone is. You couldn't even
receive a phone call.
No, you could. It was completely blocked off. But again, that's a house phone. They don't even know what a house phone is. Every house had a phone line and a dedicated phone number, which was listed in the white pages for everyone in town to see.
Of course.
But yeah, it was just, so your house phone was blocked off. You had no cell phone. So if somebody was on the internet and your grandma was trying to call, she got a busy signal and she probably freaked out. And it was just a whole thing of, get off the internet. I got to make a phone call.
Unless you had a second line. But if I remember correctly, Dad was just too cheap to pay for the second line. So some people had that, but certainly not us.
If you were rich, I guess this wasn't a problem for you. But if you grew up in Mike Frignoni's household, you didn't have a second line.
No.
So first there was just the computers, internet, all that stuff. And then there was my first memory of like communicating via the internet is AOL Instant Messenger, right? You basically log on, chat with people that you got your friends' screen names at school, and then you became friends with them, and then you chatted with them, and then you put up an away message if you wanted to walk away from your computer. Because again, it didn't come with you everywhere you went. There was a computer in the house somewhere. You sat at it. And then you left, and that was your internet activity, was sitting at the computer.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to leave you a message, they would leave it to your profile while you were away, and then you get it when you come back, whenever that may be.
Mm-hmm. Did you used to stay up and talk to boys on AOL Instant Messenger?
I can neither confirm nor deny that because Dad might hear this, and I don't want to get in trouble.
She's in her 30s, mind you. So then a couple years later came MySpace. And MySpace was the first social network, really. And you could pick your profile picture. MySpace was around for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
I would say that's like one of the only ones I didn't get a date on. But yeah, you'd have your profile, you could pick a song, and that's really where we learned to code. I don't think you ever did this.
I never dabble. I've never been a coder. Still am not. Will not. But a lot of you guys did get into that.
Yeah, you just learned these like HTML codes and copied paste, and if you did certain codes, you would get a certain background color. So like we started as coders, but then I think Facebook and stuff came along and it just became too easy. And most of us dropped out of that. And I wish I had kept that skill up. But so then it's 2006, right? MySpace, you have your top 8. You can comment on each other's walls or whatever they called it.
And you designate your own top 8, right? So it's like... It's a big status thing. Like your best friends have to be in the top 8. And if they're not, it's a problem, a whole big social thing around that.
Yeah. And like you could see each other's top 8. So you could say like, oh, this girl put this guy in her top 8. Like, are they a thing?
Yeah.
So from MySpace, I remember it's the year 2006. I'm sitting at my sister Carla's high school graduation. And I don't know if it was the valedictorian or who it was, but somebody was making a speech, a student, and she took a selfie of herself. And in 2006, this had to be on a Razr cell phone, a Motorola Razr. Mm-hmm. So it's on an old flip phone, whatever. She takes a picture of herself. Actually, no, I think it was a digital camera because there was no picture messaging.
That was 100% the era of the digital camera. I would bring it anywhere I went and photograph the night on the digital camera, then print out the pictures and bring them into homeroom and show them to people live in person. Maybe I'm dating myself a little too much.
Imagine a paper photo, handing somebody a stack of paper photos.
We would literally sit there and be like, oh my God, this happened over the weekend. Let's see your pictures. And I had the physical pictures in my hand.
Yeah. You were big into that, I remember.
I was a big fan of the digital camera.
How cool is it that we have that now? We can look back on all that now. So this girl's making a speech. She takes a selfie on her digital camera and she says, can't wait to post that to Facebook. So this was 2006. MySpace was the only social network that we had. And then this new one comes along called Facebook. And the only reason she could post it is because she was heading off to college. In order to have Facebook, when it originally came out in 2006, you had to have an EDU email address, meaning you were a student
enrolled at a college.
At a college.
Yes. I remember the day that I got my Geneseo email and I was ecstatic to be able to set up the Facebook finally. It was a huge thing. Like me and my girlfriends got together at one of our houses and all of us set up our Facebook profiles because we had the EDU email address.
Losers.
Very exciting.
So Facebook kind of takes over as the main social media giant. I think that it was probably maybe a year to 3 years max before they let anybody with any email address sign up. And I was still in high school at this point, so I had to be under 3 years. And it was like, hell yeah, we can get on this social network that all the college kids are on.
And all the college kids were like, ew, don't let them on. This is supposed to be private.
Because first it was like, okay, the college kids. Then their like younger siblings got on it. But then after that,
parents.
Their parents. So then it's just an absolute shit show. It's your parents, your grandparents, your younger sibling, your 12-year-old cousin. Everybody's on Facebook, right? Facebook decides to open for business, quite literally, in 2007. And right around that time, also, they started offering the ability for businesses to advertise. Now, this is something that was so few and far between that I have really no memory of businesses on Facebook at this point beyond maybe like just a local business page.
If that.
Yes. And side note, we're not going to talk too much about Twitter because I don't think Twitter is really as much of a valuable platform for businesses. And we're really, talking about marketing. But I do just want to point out that Twitter was born on my birthday, which is March 21st, 2006. So Twitter's along right before this. Twitter and Facebook are coming out at about the same time. Facebook opens for business in late 2007. Okay, so Facebook just continues to grow and grow and grow in this time. Add on more features for businesses. More people are coming on Facebook. Your aunt you never thought you'd see on Facebook. Your boss that you never want to see again. Maybe you just quit and now he's on Facebook friending you. So it just opened up this whole new etiquette. Your digital etiquette was like completely different than you're in person. So it really...
Well, yeah. I was trying to like post the pictures of me at the sorority party over the weekend. And then I'm like, oh no, a potential employer is going to possibly see this. I can't be doing that.
Yeah, but I think they told us that too late. Like
they did.
We all went through a phase. Yeah. If you're younger, or I'm sorry, if you're older, if you were young on Facebook, like we were when Facebook was young, you posted a lot of pictures that you probably shouldn't have. I actually have a whole Facebook that's deleted, dead and gone because I don't want those pictures to ever resurface.
You know, now that you're saying this, I think I actually need to take some time and go back and delete some albums.
If you're Carla's client, please don't go back on her Facebook. I'm begging you.
Oh my God.
But you know what?
I'm doing it right now after this.
Our clients have the same problem. Well, you ever accidentally or purposely gone back on somebody's Facebook and you're like, whoa, I didn't know you had that in you. So yeah, Facebook's just growing. Businesses are getting involved. So now I want to rewind a little bit because while Facebook is a really big, important piece of digital marketing, what is an even bigger piece?
Google.
Yes, Google. So Google started in 1998. Okay. I was 7, you were 10. This is not really when we were on a search engine. Okay. And it was really one of the first search engines to ever exist. So we really didn't have any business on there. What are you going to Google at age? Actually,
no, but can we just make one honorable mention real quick for AskJeeves.com?
I was just actually going to say, we used Ask Jeeves if we had any questions.
We are obsessed with Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. So then in 2001, Google Images came about. Do you know why Google Images was invented?
I do, but do you want to tell the story?
No, go ahead.
The Jennifer Lopez dress? Mm-hmm. I think you'll tell it better.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, Google Images was invented because so many people searched on Google to see a photo of Jennifer Lopez's Grammys outfit. It was the absolutely iconic green dress, slit all the way down to her belly button. It was just such a big deal in pop culture that millions of perverts ran to the internet and tried to Google and search.
Or people interested in fashion. They didn't all have to be
fashion interested people flew to the internet to search for this dress and to see Jennifer Lopez in this look. Then 2004, Google Local comes out. So Google Local is when Google said, all right, there's enough action here, enough traffic. Let's start to make this a bigger thing. Google Local, as its original form, was business directories. So kind of similar, like we were saying, the phone book, right? Lists all the businesses. So this is back when, you'll probably remember this, Google had 7 map listings. So if I Googled insurance, I would see A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah. 7 map listings. And the map listings would click to business information. Now, back then, most of these companies had no idea how to gain access of this listing, let alone connect their website to it, let alone do anything to make it rank higher in a search result. Okay. So Google Maps comes out in 2006 to compete with MapQuest. Now, as we'll notice from this point forward, a lot of the new platforms that come out are often coming out with the direct intention to compete with another platform. So Google Maps comes out to compete with MapQuest. What was MapQuest? Tell the young girls and boys.
So before we had the GPS in our phone attached to our car showing up on a screen, if you were going to take a road trip and you had to know, how do I get where I want to go, you would simply go to MapQuest and type in point A and point B of your trip, starting and ending point, and get a listed out sheet with the directions on it. And you would have to print it out and bring it with you in your car and glance over at the sheet every so often and say, okay, I'm turning left on, whatever road. And that's how you got there.
It would not reroute you. If you took a wrong turn, you were screwed.
You were absolutely in trouble.
Completely screwed.
No way to reroute.
So Google Maps came out to get you from point A to point B and give you instructions. Okay. In 2011, Google Plus came out. Google Plus was intended to compete with Facebook. It was a social network. Google saw how in that 5 years that Facebook had just been growing and growing and it was becoming huge. Google thought, okay, we can do this. We're going to call it Google Plus. You would think Google, being the giant that it is, this would be successful, right? Google Plus was the biggest failure of Google. It's their biggest failure to date as far as a product and the research and development behind it, and thinking that it was going to be one thing and ended up being another, which was not much. But Google Plus Local tied Google Plus pages, so these social media profiles, with Google Local. So it was saying, okay, this is a person or a business, and it's also a place. So that married those two together. Then in 2014 came out Google My Business, which is something that we're a lot more familiar with. It's called Google Business Listing now.
Profile.
Right?
Google Business Profile.
Google Business Profile. See, I'm losing track of the changes, but Carla knows.
Well, it's hard to keep track.
It is. So Google My Business is when businesses were able to set up back-end access to their business on Google. They could connect their website. They could publish business photos. Eventually, they started to be able to get reviews from the public, which was, of course, a great thing. Some people, it's a bad thing.
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword, really. So Google My Business was the place that businesses were living. Now, this was around the time that I got into this space. 2015 is when I got into this space. So my first experience with this was actually Google Plus Local. It was when it was still separate from Google My Business. So Google Plus Local was where I would go to manage business profiles. And it sucked. Google Plus was awful. It was very just not user friendly. Yeah. It was confusing. You didn't really get whether it was a business profile, whether it was a personal profile, if it was a map listing. Like, it was just very strange. So thankfully, Google Plus died in 2018, and we never have to speak of it again or think of it again. But Google My Business actually came out swinging, and it's something that, even though it goes by a different name now, it's still very, very, very valuable to our clients, any business owner that wants to have any kind of digital presence. They have to have a Google My Business.
You have to have it at this point. You can't be successful as a business in any industry in this day and age without it.
Mm-hmm. And in 2015, 2016, when we first got into this industry, most business owners had no idea what it was. Even if they did know what it was, they didn't know how to manage it or use it. Because at this time, we're in our early 20s, right? 25-ish, 24,
I was
25.
You were a little younger, I think.
Yeah. So we're still kids at this point, and we're doing marketing for, most business owners are 30 or up. Most successful business owners are 30 and up. Of course, there's some exceptions like me, but so we were younger and we were teaching all these old dogs these new tricks. Well, now we're kind of the old dogs, but we're still doing the new tricks. No, I'm just kidding. So that's Google My Business. And that has only continued to grow and get better and be more functional and be more of a platform that businesses can use to drive their revenue, because Google My Business is a direct factor in your rank on Google. Meaning, if I search for insurance, how are you going to show up among the other results? So Google My Business is an absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle now. It got off to a rocky start as Google Plus Local, but luckily it landed on its feet there. So then on the other side of Google, on the more advertising side of it, Google Ads. Do you know what year Google Ads came out without looking at my paper?
No, I do not.
Oh. Google Ads started in 2000, which was surprising to me because, well, I guess, again, I was 9 at the time, so I don't know what business I would have running ads on Google, but I think that they really grew in 2016 when they switched to a mobile first motto, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Mobile first was their whole shtick. And that's along the same time that smartphones started becoming more and more prevalent. You didn't really have any phone that wasn't a smartphone after what? I feel like I was in maybe 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
That's when
there was a whole BlackBerry phase when I was maybe sophomore in college. And at that point, I think pretty much everything.
Yeah, I remember having a BlackBerry the first time I connected to the internet on a cell phone. But you used to have to use your data to connect, and it was a whole big thing.
Yeah.
And so by 2016, smartphones were in everybody's hand. Everybody was using the internet on their smartphone. They started to make the transition into apps. So instead of using certain websites, you're just going to go directly to the, let's say, Abercrombie & Fitch app.
Oh, my favorite app of all time.
So you would go on these, and that's when I think I started to sell ads, Google ad programs 2015 or 2016.
Yeah. Maybe even 2014.
Yeah, because, okay, so what we used to do before we got heavily into the insurance space, we used to work for a company that owned a Yellow Page directory online. So we would sell ads in the Yellow Page directory. And then to drive traffic to those ads, there were Google ad programs. So if you were a roofer in Baltimore, you would buy an ad in our directory, and then our company would make sure that there was ads driving people searching Baltimore plumbers in Baltimore, getting that sponsored link at the top of the page. I personally did not buy into Google ads for a long time. I just thought, it looks like an ad. Doesn't everybody know that's an ad? They're paying to be there. And it really took me a long time, a year, 2 years of working with businesses and seeing them get so much result from it that I was like, okay, everybody needs to run Google ads if they have, certain types of businesses. What do you think about Google ads?
I personally love them.
What do you love about them?
No, the thing about a Google ad is it's so cut and dry, right? Like we're running the ad campaign. It's taking people immediately where they need to go, to the website, to a quote page, whatever it is, and you get the traffic you need. It's not as hard to conceptualize as Google Business Profile or something like that. So to a business owner, a lot of times it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense to me. And I like that because it's something that's easy to...
It's more tangible.
Yeah, it's tangible to say, like, we ran this ad, I got this click, it turned into a quote, here we are, love it.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's such an important piece of the puzzle, but I think it's important that you have the whole puzzle. So I think about it like in my classes in college, they would really harp on the difference between marketing and advertising. Marketing and PR is all unpaid efforts, whereas advertising is, here, Google, here's $100, let me run ads. Or here, if we're going back, Yellow Page directory, here's money, let me put an ad in there. So it's paying directly for placement to a targeted audience, whatever that audience is. Whereas Google My Business and even your social media, when it comes before the paid side of it, it's so much PR. It's like, how are we going to target our key audiences, our key network? Who do we want to reach and what do we want to say to them? And how are we going to do that in a way
without paying?
Yeah. Without paying, how are we going to just organically? And that's where the term organic comes from. A lot of times we talk to people and discuss your organic presence or your organic traffic. And organic, like, what does organic even mean? Like, bananas are organic, raspberries are
natural.
Organic.
It means natural. It naturally occurs rather than it's paid or it's somehow manipulated or facilitated.
And that's what I think one of the hardest things, like you were saying, to conceptualize is that it's just like, it's unpaid, it's out there, but it's like earned. You have to earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to put your pieces in place in order to properly feed or nurture, whatever. I say feed because organic, of the earth, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same
plant
as
your seeds and you gotta water
you're trying
them.
To grow something. And if you don't water it, you don't put the fertilizer on, it's not going to grow. It's the same thing, in the organic space. You have to quote unquote nurture or take care of the listing in order to get it in the right place.
That's a really good way to put it, especially when people say like, oh, well, don't you just set it and forget it? Like, I wish I set it and forget it.
Wouldn't that be easy?
Yeah, that would be great. But no, it's really something, especially with how competitive the internet has gotten. You have to be nurturing it every day.
You do.
Not every day, but you have to be consistently nurturing it multiple times a week, or, your digital presence now is, I think, more important than your physical presence, meaning your office, because when you open an office, whatever kind of business it is, if it's a nail salon, if it's a restaurant, whatever it is, you set up physically, right? You paint the walls, you get your team uniforms, you get everybody ready to present this image to people that physically walk in. Whereas digitally, sometimes people are still of the mindset that it's optional. It's something they can do. Well, my website's not that great. My listing isn't. I have bad reviews.
Whatever. People know me.
People know
me. They already know me.
Everybody already knows me here. But realistically, there are more people accessing your digital space. There's more people searching for restaurants than there is just showing up at your door and ordering food.
I mean, when is the last time you just walked into a restaurant without thinking about, I got to Google it and see if they have an opening tonight, or I got to Google it and see what the hours are, or I want to Google it and look at the menu ahead of time. Even if you already know, you're still going to the internet to find out information before you even think about walking in the door.
I think if you go to a restaurant without looking the menu up online prior, you're a monster.
Who would do that to themselves?
You wouldn't.
No.
Why would you? You don't have
risk
to,
it?
you know, especially, and again, not trying to age us because we're joking. We know we're not really that old, but generationally speaking, our generation, because we're the last ones before that, the ones after us that are only used to the internet, they wouldn't in a million years make a business decision without the internet. No. They wouldn't even know how.
No.
You think they'd walk in somewhere and talk to somebody? No.
I mean, first of all, half of them don't have the social skills to do that. That's a separate issue.
100%, because they've only learned internet etiquette. Yeah. They haven't really had to sharpen just worldly etiquette of in-person as much. So yeah, so when you're talking about a business doing marketing, and it doesn't matter if you're an insurance agent that's been in your community for 40 years. Well, guess what? The generation after us, I get so confused with like Gen Z and Gen Y and Gen X.
Oh yeah, don't ask me what I am.
Like
I don't know.
We're millennials, but everybody after us.
I think there's like an older version.
Yeah, you're a baby boomer.
No, not a baby boomer, but it's like there's older generation millennials, and then there's true millennial. What are they? Geriatric millennials. That's what they call it. I swear this is a thing. So that's
I believe you, and I know you are geriatric millennial.
Yeah.
But millennials are the last ones that have any kind of like organic social skills. Mm-hmm. And the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever, all of them are, they only have this social media etiquette and this like internet personality. Mm-hmm. That's horrifying. I think that's actually a big reason why younger people don't have the same like work ethic, is because they have a digital brain. Their meta brain.
Their brain's in the metaverse.
But,
no, it's a completely different skill set that they've learned to navigate the world. Mm-hmm. They don't go out and do things the way that we did when we were kids. It's all in their hand on a phone.
Yeah, if you think about think about Grammy's life, right? Mm-hmm. 90% of her life happened before the internet. She's not going to adapt, right? Some grandmas do. Ours, too old school.
No, I was just talking about this with somebody.
Yeah.
No shot.
Mom loves socializing in any way, shape, or form. She, halfway through her life, got the internet, maybe a little before, whatever. So half of her life. Us, we're like, we just started our lives. We were in teens when this all came out. So most of our life is here, but we still have some core foundation here. Mm-hmm. They don't have any of it. They were born into the metaverse.
They were born in the metaverse.
So to get back to my all my different platforms, Instagram. Oh, I'm sorry. Google Ads. Okay. Mobile first is when it started to get really big. Display and retargeting ads started in 2017, really picking up steam. A display and retargeting ad is when you see an ad that creeps you out, right? It's because
they've been listening.
You're like, oh my God, I swear I just thought that. And now I saw an ad for it. Sometimes you did think it and then you just saw an ad. But really your behavior in any way, shape, or form on your phone, sometimes off your phone if you're just talking, they do pick up voice recognition, whatever. You're going to see ads based off of every single thing. I could go on Us Weekly and read an article about Kristen Cavallari, and then 2 days later I might see an Uncommon James ad on Instagram because they made the connection. That's why when it's like, do you want to allow your phone to track your data on all platforms? I'm like, sure.
I mean, at this point, who cares? It's everywhere anyways. What difference does it make?
I know. You're right. It's there anyway, so we might as well get a better experience of, I love to be targeted.
Yeah, I know you do. You're the biggest sucker.
I appreciate good advertising and marketing. I love seeing like the commercial, when they started doing the commercials with the QR codes. Amazing.
Brilliant.
A commercial is one of the last traditional forms of media advertising where you don't have direct traffic. And when I say direct, like it would just list a phone number or list a website and they got to cross their fingers that you're going to pick up your phone and dial. You're not going to do that. But when you get
Scan
the
the
QR
QR
codes
code
involved, So yeah, display retargeting. If we back up a little, our good friend Instagram comes out in 2010. Instagram is Facebook's baby. Instagram, of course, because Facebook already had the processes and the data to scale itself the way that it did, Instagram took off like a racehorse because it was just bred that way, like a racehorse. You like that?
Very nicely done. Yes. Love a good racehorse analogy.
Was bred to be a racehorse. They came out with video in 2013. The videos would be the 15-second stories, not the reels. The reels didn't come out until a couple of years later, but the stories came out to compete with Vine. Remember Vine?
Oh my God. Big Vine girls.
Love Vine. Vine was the first like short form video social network. We used to make great Vines in college.
Marisa, our VP of operations at Uptown, was the queen of Vine.
The Vine queen.
Queen.
Hands down. So Instagram came out to compete with that. Then there was also the dirty little cousin Snapchat, which I don't know who really owned Snapchat. I think it was independent. Maybe it was acquired. Don't know for sure. But Snapchat came out in 2011. It was supposed to be a way to communicate with your face. So it was trying to bring a little more personal feel to texting and instant messaging and all that. And then it obviously went awry because the messages deleted. So it just became dirty, a naughty, dirty cousin. Yeah.
I mean, they were the first to do the filter, the animal face, all that stuff. Like they brought that to market before anybody else.
Yeah, 100%. And that became such a big thing. And I think people still use Snapchat.
Some do.
Sarah, our cousin, was saying that Leah, her daughter, they exchange Snapchats in school. They don't exchange phone numbers, which take that as you will. I said, Sarah, you should probably look into this.
Yeah, I would keep an eye on that.
But yeah, Snapchat. So I tried to do a Snapchat ad for one of my clients when I first discovered that Snapchat had ads. I must have just been trying to.
I remember that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they worked, but I think that Snapchat as a platform just didn't really provide a good environment for ads. I think it was so much social and so much.
You're so far removed from the buying process on Snapchat. It was like you had no shot at really getting anywhere.
Yeah. And it became more of just the showy, I'm at this, because then you could do the geotags, right? Yeah. You could say, I'm at this restaurant, I'm at this bar, I'm with this person. So you were able to show off what you were doing. That's really where Instagram stories came from, was the idea of what Snapchat was doing, which was I'm showing off where I am. I'm showing you my food I'm eating. I'm showing you what restaurant I'm at, who I'm with. This person's in that person's Snapchat background, So
who's looking at it? Who looked at the snap? Who looked at the story?
Yeah.
Does the guy have a crush on? Did he see it?
Yeah, it just became this whole other layer of communicating on social media. And it was more of the one-on-one communication, whereas you could write on somebody's Facebook wall, but everybody's going to see that. So you could have that more interpersonal. 2016, TikTok came out. Not a TikTok girl. Don't have it. Don't want it.
Don't
Scared
talk to
of
me
it.
about it.
Don't talk to me about it.
It's for the kids.
Absolutely horrified by it. I watch them when they're sent to me, but to be fair, if you send your friend a TikTok and they don't have TikTok and you text them a link to TikTok, I think that's cruel.
That doesn't even happen to me because my peers don't have TikTok.
Your peers do have TikTok, first of all.
No, they don't.
TikTok 2016 was started in China. They expanded outside of China in 2017. So the most recent one, you actually just reminded me of this morning, even though I have this platform and I actually like it.
And this is proof that I am with it.
You're very with it. For a geriatric millennial, you're very with it. Threads. Threads was a competition to Twitter. It is Instagram's baby, it's Facebook's grandchild. Threads is the grandchild of Facebook. I like Threads because I like any way I can communicate with the world. I like, obviously. But it's
you were very into Twitter for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like it because I love Twitter so much. When I was in college, I had the funniest Twitter. People used to come up to me in classes and be like, "I love your Twitter. You're so funny." Yeah, my big claim to fame was my Twitter in 2012.
Yes. Way to go.
But Threads, I think after Elon Musk purchased Twitter, so many people wanted off of the platform. They wanted nothing to do with it. So Instagram said, all right, hold on. Let me have this Threads baby. Here you guys go. I have one. I don't go on it a ton. I think it kind of lost its fizzle. Or I should say it started to fizzle, lost its spark, whatever.
How many things can we have? It's a lot to keep track of for anyone.
And that brings me to what I think is my last point. So we've gone from getting phone books in the mail to now we're in this just absolute tornado of technology every day, especially in our business. Mm-hmm. Because of that, every single year, more and more and more businesses are advertising online. What does that do? It saturates the landscape, right? If there's 10 people advertising in a certain mile radius one year, then there's 20 the next year, then there's 100 the next year. What happens? Your cost goes up. You're going to get
lost. Yeah.
You're going to get lost. Your cost goes up. So we are marketing a very old traditional business, insurance agencies. One of the most, if not the most boring industries to be in. Aside from marketing the DMV, I think this has got to be the most boring industry. Love you all. But so it's even that much harder when we're so bored digitally, and like we have a short attention span, right? So we go on our phone. I sometimes have a thought of, I need to Google this. By the time I pick up my phone, I've forgotten what I want to do. And I'm looking at something else.
Well, because you're distracted by the other things popping up in front of you. What's right in front of you? What's right in front of you?
Did you watch that documentary on Netflix about, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about the way that even our phones designed, the way they're backlit, the way our notifications are read. Every single feature of a smartphone, an app, everything is designed to keep us addicted.
On the app longer.
To the dopamine rush. And that's why we're all depressed also, side note, is because we're constantly stimulated with so much dopamine. But where was I going with that? Oh, everything's so oversaturated, over-competitive. You see one insurance agent, you see them all. It makes our jobs really hard because we're trying to make an already boring industry stand out. So one of the things that our clients have found a lot of success with, and I think that businesses in general are finding a lot of success with, is getting back to the basics. Back to, let me reach out and shake your hand and look you in the eye and let's talk about business.
Let's build a relationship.
Let's build a relationship.
Real one.
A real one. And how much more valuable of a client is that?
1 billion times more.
It's like referrals versus like internet leads or like whatever kind of internet traffic you get. It's like dating off of dating apps versus like being introduced to somebody. You know, the quality of a referral is so much higher. And you get that by making in-person introductions. It's very, very hard to really truly connect with a prospect when you're over a screen, because they can, just like a dating app, they can leave. They can just never go on that screen again, swipe away from you, and you'll never talk to them again. Whereas when you are at a community event or you're sponsoring Little League or whatever it is, and you're meeting people in person, you're leaving a lasting impression. And it, I think, is even more valuable to what I would say is the ideal customer of insurance, mortgage company, anybody that is in like the insurance financial services would want, like, let's say 28 to 40, like middle class, married, good jobs, whatever it is. That target is where it's most valued, because people like us, geriatrics and non-geriatric millennials, are missing when we were young. Like, we're nostalgic for like in-person
interaction. Yes. The ability to have an actual conversation where it's not going on a Facebook wall or it's not just in an email typed out. What's my wording? Like, what did I say? I want to build the actual face-to-face relationship. It's completely different. It's invaluable.
It is invaluable. And even just like taking a step away from social media sometimes is invaluable too. Like, just doing something and not posting it. Like, just going back to the life before the internet had us by a chokehold.
Like, when was the last time you went to a wedding or a birthday party and were not the entire time, oh, what can I take a picture of to post on my Instagram story? Oh, did we get a good picture to post on Instagram?
Yeah, why would I?
And you're spending your time at this event where you should be making memories, worried about what picture you're taking to put on Instagram.
I know. It's sad because I think about that, but then I also, if you look back on your Instagram, it's like your digital memory book.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
It's another double-edged sword.
It is,
if you will.
The internet in general is a double-edged sword. And I think that there's so much to explore within the internet, marketing, sales. How does the internet change the sales process? How does the internet change your marketing process? Where do those two meet? You know, there's just so much to explore within that, not just for the insurance industry, but in all industries. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast.
To just be out there in one more way, one additional platform.
You can download this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
I'll share the link on my Instagram story.
This will be linked in my bio and on my LinkTree, which has links. I'm
going to print out a QR code. If you could please scan it when you're in the office.
I will have a QR code on my phone where people can scan and go to my LinkTree, which will link the Uptown Marketing website, our podcast.
And afterwards, we'll look at how many clicks and impressions we got.
Please leave us a review.
Only 5 stars.
5 stars only, please. So, yes, I mean, really, this is the world we're in. And I think that's something I think about when I get really frustrated with this whole, like, just whirlwind, is that this is the world we're in. Where do we need to take advantage of the internet, and where do we need to take advantage of in-person and more traditional forms of interpersonal connection, really?
And where can we connect the two? Where are the opportunities to kind of integrate some of that, what we're doing in person? Okay, how do we take it into the digital space in a way that is not so overwhelming?
And how do we keep our clients and our own brand, how do we keep that true to the people behind them? I think that's a big thing for me, is when you're representing your brand and when you're doing marketing on behalf of somebody else's brand, how do we make sure that when we're doing that, we're keeping it really true to the person behind it versus just, this is the best insurance agent in the area.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think a big piece of that goes back to the relationship. It's building the relationship with the person we're doing the marketing on behalf of. You have to get to know them and understand them and their team and their office and whatever the case may be well enough to be able to translate that into their marketing digitally.
Yeah. So everybody listening, thank you for listening to our first episode. Stay tuned because we have just endless topics. We're definitely going to be bringing on some of our clients. We're definitely going to be bringing on some of our business owner friends, definitely bringing on some of our industry connections too, as well as you'll hear from all the Uptown Girls. So I'll try to be on every episode. I'll be on most of them. Carla will be on a lot of them. She's a big deal there. And you're going to hear from all the other Uptown Girls as well, because each piece of this puzzle of our team is just amazing in its own way. So they all have a lot to contribute. And that's it. That's the last episode. Any last words?
The first episode. The last of the first episode.
The last of the first episode.
Certainly not the last. No. This is going to be really exciting. And if anybody has any special requests in terms of something you'd like to hear a little bit more about, or if there's anything we talked about today that you're like, let's expand on that, reach out to us.
Yes. Definitely open to any kind of suggestions, feedback, whatever it may be, because we need listeners, frankly.
I mean, we could listen to each other talk all day long, but that doesn't really do anybody any good.
All right, we're going to go get Carla a sweater and get her back into the heat because she is chilly in here. But thank you for listening to the Uptown Girls podcast, the first episode. You'll always remember this.
Oh, yes.